day, everybody. This is your favorite crypto trading channel, Crypto and Coffee with the Trading Bros. Pelosi went to Taiwan, stirred up a whole bunch of shit with China, markets pumping. We saw, a little bit of downward action yesterday afternoon, followed by some upward momentum overnight. New York just opened. What's going to happen? You Wellington, tell us. What do you see?
What's up, my people? We gotta get our show hyped, man. We about to make some major changes to the show.
That's right.
We about to get it done because we gotta give y'all something to do while y'all watching this market because it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Okay, that wasn't a good joke, but look, let me tell you something. Pelosi, let's talk about Pelosi a little bit, man. What do you think she's doing out there other than getting more inside information to trade? I mean, come on now. I mean, we know this what she's doing.
She is out there getting insider information for her next big stock purchase.
I mean, look, her husband is one of the greatest traders of all time in all history, allegedly. This may be the last. They were like, let me get this last hurrah in before they go ahead and change the rules. And it may just be that. I mean, technically speaking, yeah. I mean, are there rules against what she's doing right now as the Speaker of the House? I mean, the SEC that clearly sees what she's doing. Is she just taking advantage of the fact that she can do it at this point in time and taking her ass up there? But I will say this, in her defense, even though I know she's using information, we don't want to appear weak to China. So, by us, and we need semiconductor chips, right? Like we passed this big bill here, I think it was, over $50 billion for developing chip manufacturing here, bringing that back to the U.S., which we desperately need. I'm glad that they're doing that at least. How they do it, that's a whole nother story. But, and there's still good relations with Taiwan. Taiwan understands the situation that they're in, and they're happy, that we're over there and happy to have us as defense. But, with that, we saw what happened in the Russia-Ukraine war when that was announced or invaded and the market pumped, just to kind of give a little bit. I said I wasn't going to go to the daily, but I'm going to go to the daily because, what happened in the Ukraine war was right up here, right? We got this pump. This was the war. This was the announcement of Russia, right? So here we are. Once again, we've kind of leveled out. We have an accumulation period here and all this tension with China happening, talking about what the Fed's doing is starting to give another pump to the upside. But again, this was a bull trap. In this instance, if you shorted up into this area, you're a happy man coming into this area. I mean, you're still a happy man if you're holding on to that short. This is a slight retrace to the upside. And, we'll get up to this 200. This is on the daily, of course, USDT.
What's that price point right there?
The price point here, where that 200
for the 200, yeah.
That
2200?
Right, 2200, yeah.
Yeah. That'd be a nice move up, yeah.
That would be a nice move up, and from the lows, that'd be like a 200-something% move. So, getting back into today, because our people want to know what's going on today. We've kind of already mapped things out. I mean, I won't say it's a fairly obvious trade. The only reason I'm not going to say it's fairly obvious is because you never know what's going to happen, but it's a high probability. You have all this confluence here. Oh shit! What happened? You had all this. You had all this confluence happen. You've had, this. We flipped. We flipped this resistance into support, right? So you had this move to the upside that broke through this area. So you had a lot of guys that took advantage of this going long up here. You also had a lot of folks that probably were shorting that move, right? So they came out, busted those shorts. And then if you didn't pay yourself in those longs, came back and got those longs. So, we had this wick right here that was kind of hanging out, came back, probably took out some of those folks that are in those stops. And so moved back up, retrace. And so we're expecting especially since it's already broken this peak here, for us to kind of get back into this zone and retest these areas because we do have some imbalances in the chart, right? But you always have to look at what happens to the downside as well. And our downside potential is here in this, I call it 1501 to 1458. One, you've got the 800 EMA on the 1 hour, which is a pretty consistent. And then you've got some vectors here that need to be recovered. But you see that, we came back down yesterday's low. Folks bought that up, came back down. Folks probably added to that position that they're in. And so here we are moving to the upside. So I'd look to see if we broke into this 16, even, this area 1673, 1686, if we start getting some momentum, if we look down here, if we start seeing some volume coming into the chart that will propel us into the psychological high and get us up into this area, may not happen till later on this week. It would be nice and right on schedule if we were to pump up into this area today and then had a reversal. We generally have a reversal during the week. That reversal could come on Thursday, or they could just bring that all the way up and hold here for the range until, next week. I know we do have some data that's coming out. We never really talk about this tool down here because, some of these tools we just have out here as an additional confluence, but this is an RSI out here. The RSI is pretty high, which would indicate, that we could come down some, and we've got this momentum wave here that can come down as well. And so all of this is kind of pointing to the downside. But, similar to if you look at in line with this, you've had RSI up, it's come back down, come back up. We could come back down briefly, or we could just, add an additional hump here. But just to understand, the RSI is pretty high. We go to the 14-minute, which is a chart that I like to look at. We are closer to the daily open. It does like to bounce around those daily opens. So, it wouldn't surprise me if we got back down into here, which is past the daily open, some of these vector candles here. We'll have to see when we get into this 1623 area. If you believe that the momentum is to the upside, you've got a lot of EMAs right here, really crowded in this area. And so if we got down to here and started to look and see some volume moving up, that might be potential for a long. If we get into these areas and start getting into this 1587, and of course, yesterday's low at 1557, we start breaching down to this area, I'd really be looking for it to move to the downside into this area before bouncing back up. So that's all I got on the chart side. You got anything to add to that, old Clutcheroo?
We do have, I'm a CME guy. We have two CME guys that have not been closed.
Talking about the CME.
Oh, hey, so 1724 was last Friday's close. We haven't hit that. And then we have a CME from 2 weeks ago down there at 1262 that has yet to be closed. So we are working a pretty broad range as far as what we're leaving out on the table. And I will tell you, they're not going to leave both of those out there this week. So we're going to see one of these two guys here pretty soon. And to be honest with you, there's no just super clear direction yet which one we're going to go get. But momentum does look like we could potentially be heading to the upside. But we'll check that out here in a minute on HIBOK and Bookmap.
So open interest, we're back up at $5.1 billion. $5.1 billion. So, people are getting back on board with the train. We've had this move to the upside. We didn't have a lot of increase in OI, at that point with this move to the upside. So I would imagine that, you've got some longs that are coming. So it's been pretty consistent. When you have these moves to the upside, you don't have huge moves to the downside relative to OI. That does mean there's some longs that's coming on board, with that. So when you see these moves, you want to see this, this move here where, you have price kind of increase pretty rapidly and you have this move to the downside, which means that one or two things really. And because we're at the top of the range, I will tell you this, it's probably going to be a lot of shorts that are closing. But it could be also longs that went long in this area that are cashing out their longs. But I would tell you that, I think the top of the range is more of the 1700 side. So, here we are, 1749. So this is, probably shorts because we're at the top of that range that moved down. So as we move down, you've got, some folks coming on board. I believe that we probably got a lot more shorts. High block will tell us that, as well. This is kind of an interesting chart because all your USDT margin accounts are kind of negative, not kind of negative, mostly are negative, and most of your coin margins are positive. This may be a new strategy in the market too, because as you know, in a coin margin, you accumulate coins when it goes up, and on the USDT margin, if you're shorting, you accumulate USDT on the way down. And so this may be a kind of a hedging position where you've got most of your coin margins collecting on the way up and shorting on the way down. So we'll just have to keep an eye on things like that. Just be aware that could be a strategy as well. As far as the market is concerned, I didn't get a chance to look at the open, but we do have a strong move to the upside. We're still kind of in this that first 30 minutes of the futures market open or the market open, and so you got to be kind of careful with that. But we do have a strong move to the upside, and it's kind of started last night, as well, with everything going on. I think, for whatever reason, the market believes that war is stimulus. The chance of war really gets things going. And so on the economic calendar,
weren't we talking about a war not too long ago? That wasn't the Ukraine war.
We've been talking about war forever, man.
And now here we are going over here and messing around with China. We got whatever her name is up in all kinds of BS in Taiwan.
The semiconductors are an issue. Again, we're such a capitalist. I'm not going to go into too much macro or too many philosophy, but for us to allow that to really happen, that's the same as us not being able to produce masks during COVID. Our inability to produce, chips, when chips are, basically where technology drives the society, drives our economy. When you want to have some of those things, within the country, when you want to defend some of that. But anyway, less near here nor there. Let's not get into that. We'll get banned or something. Pelosi will get on the horn. But this is Wednesday, August 3rd. We got the PMI that's coming out at 9:45, 10 a.m. We've got ISM Services Index, core capital revision orders. All this is very interesting, but Thursday is really what we're looking at, right? Jobless claims, continuing jobless claims, trade deficit. Loretta Mester speaks. I think she's more of a dovish type of Fed chairman or Fed president, so we'll have to see how she reacts. And then we've got big news on Friday: non-farm payrolls, unemployment rate, average hourly earnings, labor participation, consumer credit. Friday is really going to be a big news day. So we'll see if Thursday, any movements to set up Friday. Should be an interesting day. That's really all I have on my end, but I would just say Thursday and Friday, probably look for some movement because we'll have a lot of information coming out. And I would expect for this week, the rest of this week, or the next couple of days would be a setup for that information coming out and probably bleed into Monday. So that's all I got on my end. What's up for some of the intradays on High Block?
Let's see what we got. Okay. Let me know when you can see High Block.
Now I can see how.
Okay, cool. So as you can see, you did mention this earlier. We do have more short liquidations than we do longs right now. Our peak down here was negative $11 billion for the cumulative liquidation delta, and we got there really, really fast. Like we went from positive 10 billion to negative 11 billion in probably less than 15 hours. So that's just goes to show how quickly they just take that money right out of the market. We're back to negative 5 billion, and we're working our way back up the upside. As you can see, there's a little bit of gap here, so I would expect that we probably see some choppiness. That also makes sense with the with the EMAs being close together. So I do expect more of a choppy day personally, per se, than move either direction. So do pay attention to that. But some of the key areas that we really want to pay attention to, as far as breakouts, are going to be. You can't really see it on this chart, so let me just do this to make it a little bit better picture real quick. If this is gonna take too long. Let's just go to book. Yeah, man, it's just, jeez. I know what it is. It's range right now, 1650, 1685. Those are some real key areas that you guys want to be paying attention to. I do, if we get up here into either one of these areas, expect one of two things: either a bounce or a movement out. But as you can see up here around 1700 on session volume profile, there's a lot of people in that area, so we're probably going to struggle to get through that area if we get up to that, if we get up into that area. And then even when we come back down here in 1660, again, there's a lot of people down in that range too. So to expect that we take time to get through those areas. This is pretty interesting here. As you can see, New York open, some of this long-term liquidity went away, and we're holding real tight to these ranges. So let's take a big picture, a big look at the picture here to try to see where the long-term liquidity is hanging out at, other than right where we're at. And I do apologize.
No apologies.
This is interesting.
Pelosi ain't apologizing. You shouldn't have to apologize, dog.
No, man, but look at this. This could go either direction. There's
we're in a very
I've never seen this before.
We're in a very weird range.
So I would expect when we break out one of these ranges, it's going to go. I don't see any liquidity outside of this key area that we're in. So again, I think it's going to be a choppy day personally. So I wouldn't expect any volatile moves. But if we break above that 1680s area, go ahead and expect some higher prices, as well as the 1650. We break below that, expect some lower prices. That's just the range we're working in today. But as far as orders look, right now they're fairly balanced. So boom, 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 maybe some pinball type ranging today between where these tight liquidity pools are, just to really get people antsy and unsure on direction. And then boom, that's when they're going to take them out. So, I mean, you could also be playing with conditional orders or breakout trades. Please do be careful with that. And also be careful with your leverage if you're going to play that route. But
1,000%, 1,000 times. I'm going 1,000 times this motherfucker if they let me.
You can't do 1,000 times, man. You can do 100 bucks.
I said if they let me, dog. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
If they let me.
So really, guys, pay attention to the ranges
After
today.
I'm already in profit, right? After already in profit, just crank up.
Yeah. So pay attention to the ranges, because really, outside of that, there's not a super clear direction. And again, I think today is just going to be a choppy day. We're probably not going to see a whole lot of action.
For today is a super clear direction. It's not super clear, but for long, I mean, look, short term trade. Maybe not today, but maybe the next couple of weeks is probably going to be to the upside. The long-term trade is definitely to the downside. So,
I can tell you right here, we're probably going to come back 1674 because this is
comes back. You got to come to the top of that range. Hell, you're going to go back up there.
Yeah. So, you guys know me. So I'm bullish today.
Let's represent
as every day.
Represent the Bears.
But
the Bears will take a short-term move to the upside. Trust me, we'll eat. We gonna eat to the upside, but we know eventually where we're going. So let's just not get crazy about it.
All right, guys, that's all we got for today's show. Stay frosty. Definitely stay frosty today because it's going to be a choppy day. And we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Until next time, AMF.